Yes, people. So I'm gonna do a video just because, like I said yesterday, Sunday analysis can always change. So I'm not really a massive fan of doing analysis on a Sunday. So I was expecting for price to come into this area and then continue down. But looking back, this low never actually really broke structure. So makes sense that this actually went up, to be honest with you. But that just means there's going to be more liquidity resting in between these lows. So I do see for the downside movement, but you can see where I was looking for on that target. We absolutely just gunned straight through it. So we were looking at this area that didn't play out, but what I could potentially maybe see now is we come up, we take out this high, and then actually start making our move back down. If we drop it down onto the lower time frames, we do have some demand down here, so that's going to be a potential first downside movement. If we do get that price pull up, look back down, this is going to be potentially the first target areas. So really what I'm going to wait to see is for price to come into, what am I doing? For price to maybe come into here, because this did actually break structures. We can see if we pull that to the side. We now have a break structure high. So this is technically the demand that caused that break structure. I was actually looking for lower prices, but just because I want to see lower prices doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. You need to be able to adapt with the market. But I definitely do think we could still make some downside movement because we basically just opened and mooned. So I think we could potentially see some kind of rollover. You can see Asian, we literally just mooned, and going into London, we created as well. We did actually also have a 630, which is our old new Asian high, which happened this morning. I say old just because I mean it was like at the end of the session old. So we got this high, which I could probably definitely say get taken out, and I do want to see if price is actually going to be able to come up and see if we do something and take out this wick. This was 10 a.m. so this is basically an old London high, so I would potentially be expecting some move like yo. So but really it's just going to be waiting to see what does happen. I do want to see some sort of major shift on the time frames, but I do could see this potentially just getting taken out to then roll over. Basically I'm going to be waiting for any sort of structure shift. So potentially if we do actually start breaking below these structures, then maybe look for a pullback and continue. I will have a look in around these areas if price does actually kind of start to look like it wants to break structures, if we're getting the manipulations and vice versa. So I'm definitely going to be looking for that area. If price does kind of trickle down a bit, maybe potentially look for buys off here. But that is more a bit of a risky play because we do have some liquidity resting in the form of lows here. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens with this pair. But I could definitely see price coming up from this point and getting invalidated, and definitely some sort of price movement back down into some demand, because we can see if we drop it down the time frames, we can go, we've got our low, high, 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 low, high, high, probably just come down, call that high, low, and now we've come up and create our high, high. So I would want to see some sort of move back down, and if maybe we continue, but shorts is probably definitely going to be on the table for midweek reversals and beginning of the week reversals. That is a nice 100 pip move, so I will definitely be looking at getting something in and around here. Euro pound as well, we actually had a strong bullish move that actually mooned right from some hourly demand. This was actually my overall target on the short trade that I had last week, the one that was up here. It was come down, take out this London low. You can see we did that and we came in. We did pretty much fill or create equal lows, I'm going to be honest. So I really would want to see price give us some sort of manipulation, at least back up into some supply, because a lot of these highs now, it's just generating too much. So I do want to see if we're going to wick it and then come back down, but definitely would like to see some more lower time frame targets as well. At least price come down, take out this wick, unless price is going to push higher to then actually potentially come down lower. But I will wait and see. But yeah, it's been quite a strong moon. This morning we've got a lot of imbalances. This is all basically just London session. So I would want to see, you can see we've got that London low. I would want to see if price is actually going to come down and take out that London low for continuations, potentially back down. But we will have to wait and see. This is kind of like a bit of a annoying area at the moment. I do definitely think something's going to happen this week. We are just kind of like stuck in this range and it's really annoying. So I'm going to wait and see if we actually really break out of it, or if we're going to manipulate. If we actually get like a full break, then we can look for pullbacks and then continuations lower, or obviously vice versa, if prices are going to actually full break, or unless we're just going to wick it and then come back down. So we will have to monitor this. But until then, it is Monday, so we will wait and see. Monday, end of Monday, kind of gives you a bit more of a catalyst of what happens within the market. CAD-JPY, I'm not actually in this, but I do think on CAD-JPY, we could probably push up again one more time. We do have some highs in here, which I would like to get tested, but we do have a lot of lows. Higher time frame, I do want to see this wick getting taken, but I will wait and see. I was expecting a bit further prices down earlier today. I was actually expecting for price to come up back into psychological level 100. You can see we got that really nice test. So in reality, that probably still could have been quite a nice trade. You can see, did we test up that 1 minute? Yes, super clean. So we had psychological level 100. Then you can see in the morning we had manipulation. After this, price came down. We broke structures, looking for the area that caused price to really kind of give us that break. You can see here stops above the high 7 pip target. I probably, where would have my target been? To be honest, I probably would have just held this, or maybe I would have held it at least into probably this 45-minute zone, did this test. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that did actually test. So that actually potentially would have been quite a nice trade for, when was this, going into this morning? So that would have potentially been like a nice 5% gain. You can also see if we actually pull this fib, we are actually going into the 50% as well. But I'm going to keep my eye on this one. I used to trade CAD a lot. It's actually not a bad pair to trade. So again, I'm going to keep my eye on this and see what happens. You can see there's so much liquidity resting on both sides. All in this trend line and all in here. So there is going to be something, I do want to see some sort of manipulation happen, or if price is just going to kind of continue through. But yeah, definitely lower prices on these. One thing I do like to look at is the JPY basket for the people that do trade the JPY pairs. I'm expecting potential prices back down into here and continue. You can see we've got an old 2 p.m. New York high, which I do want to see get taken. And if we really look on a weekly, you can see we've got our low, low, high, lower, 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 high, lower, low. So now potentially looking for that lower high to then come back, take it down. I do want to see some sort of test back into the 50% of this area. So if you I don't know, this is the JPY basket, and whatever this is going to do, most other pairs are going to correlate more than likely. This is the same as basically just looking at the dollar index, but it's the JPY basket. So I'm looking for prices to do something similar to this. If we invert it, you can see and wait for price to come up to then come back down. It's kind of looking a bit similar to CAD JPY and GPJPY. So this GPJPY on the 4 hour, and that's GPJ, or this is a JPY basket on the 4 hours as well. So you can see the correlation between those is super, super, super clean. So I'm waiting for price to come back up one more time. I was looking for potential shorts, just looking at basic structure, but I think price is going to potentially come into 61.1 flat, and you can see that sort of 1 hourly supply zone is super, super, super nice. So I do expect this had to get taken going into beginning of London to get for that to get taken. I was potentially expecting some sort of move like Yasa to come price up, we distribute, and then we come back down. But I am going to wait and see what happens. Personally, I don't trade that much GJ. I just personal preference. But yeah, this could potentially be quite a nice trade unless we actually come and manipulate some of these highs. But we've got our impulse and then like our correction. So now looking for our impulse again, and an impulse and correction is nothing more than just kind of a distribution. You can see we are just manipulating each high and each high and generating more liquidity in the form of lows for price to potentially actually go in and take out. So I wouldn't personally, but you could. 45 pips. That's quite a wide stop loss. Personally, I'm not a fan of like having a wide stop loss, but you, in all reality, you could do. That is a nice 540 pip game. I could see this low definitely starting to get taken out at some point. Whether this is going to be now our sell to buy movement, and then we're going to test again and then continue higher, or if we're going to kind of look in between this area, because there's been a lot of mitigations in and around all this daily zone. So I definitely could see some of these get taken. We do still have some highs. And when was this? This is market close high. So we do still have some highs. So if price did manipulate higher, that wouldn't surprise me, but I'm just going to wait and see until at least kind of this low or this high gets broken. It's going to give me a bit more catalyst anyway, depending on what happens with the market. So just kind of keep an eye out on these anyway. But my main focus is on AU, and you can see already on AU, we're actually taking out that old Asian high that I spoke about. And euro pound, that's probably looking like it's going to want to push up, but we'll see. It's Monday. I'll keep everyone updated, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. Thank you.